Welcome back to Oddworld Abe's Exoddus. We are now in the Blind Mudokon Zone, the official introduction to the Blind Mudokons. The game assumes we have not seen any yet, so we're going to be going through some little areas to make sure we understand what these gray little dudes are about. Just to mention, that's the only Blind Mudokon that will ever miss a bird portal. None of them do that. That was just supposed to be a funny gag by the game, because he's blind. Get it? Haha, he's blind. But yeah, no, that would never happen again, because there's no Blind Mudokon that would run past a bird portal and into a cliff. That would be really mean. So, like I said, we're gonna go through some pretty easy areas for like the first 5 minutes, because the game thinks we don't know how Blind Mudokons work. I am going to show off a glitch in this game. This is both in the PlayStation and the PC version. When grinders are off screen, they don't affect any Mudokons that are walking by, and this makes some puzzles easier. Obviously, this puzzle by itself isn't very hard anyway. You just have to pull a lever to make the grinder stop working. But later on in the game, it's a handy thing to know. The same isn't true for mines. You still have to blow up mines if they're in the way. Luckily, I still have some leftover rocks from the rock zone, so we actually kind of cut this tunnel in half, essentially, because I didn't have to go through the trouble of getting rocks. We're also going to finish Necromines in general at the end of this video, so look forward to that. Abe's Exoddus. Abe's Odyssey only had Rupture Farms to take down, so it was only one factory that we had to go through. Abe's Exoddus, in comparison, there are a lot more, which I think is cool. The scope of this game is a lot larger, and we get to see a lot more varied environments, which is neat. I may have been exaggerating when I said I cut this place in half. Really, I just blew up those 3 mines at the beginning. That makes... Normally, you just have to run and jump over them. And the rest of Necromines is going to be Blind Mudokons too, so hope you're ready for waiting for Blind Mudokons to reach you. One thing I don't like about them is that regular Mudokons, they run when you run, but Blind Mudokons just walk the whole time. Not that I would want a Blind Mudokon to run, I guess, because then they just run off cliffs everywhere, but sometimes it takes waiting for them a long time to get where you want them to. You ever have a brain fart? Just your fingers not working right, because that's what happened here. I just did not push the right buttons at the right time. We're gonna do that right. This area is probably the hardest section of the Necromines for me, just because this opening part with the grinders really gets my goat. And also the secret areas, you can see where the secret areas are through Soulstorm brew bottles, but you still have to guess where they are. And these 2 secret areas in particular are kind of mean, because especially here, once you pull this switch and you turn off that grinder, I don't like having to jump past this grinder because you can't see where Abe is. And I mean, I've played the game long enough to kind of have an idea of where he is even when I don't see him, but I can't imagine the same can be said for most other players. And so that's kind of, I don't know, I think it's kind of dick to not be able to see your own guy. Huh. I wonder what this lever does. Oh, that's what it does. I should have listened to the signs. I'm just gonna get rid of ourselves right now. Maybe I should have cut out me quick saving. It would have made it less obvious. As if it wasn't obvious enough. Alright, yeah. Let's get these... Oh, no, that's not the right thing to say. Let's get these poor guys out of here. We have a lot. There's 7 dudes in here to save. They're all blind, and they all need our help. Obviously, this isn't really that much of a trap, considering literally what the sign says right there, the scrolling text. But still, This part is really tight. So if we pull that pulley, then the grinders would work. And we could kill that slig and be on our way, but we want to save this dude too. As you can see, the timing's a little rough. It's kind of hard because when the slig beats him, he's incapacitated. And also when you kill that slig, he makes a noise. He turns into a ghost, so that's also very spooky. I really like that the scrolling text in general, in the scrolling text in Abe's Odyssey, it was only in Rupture Farms. It wasn't ever in any of the outside areas, so you didn't get to see a lot of it. But the developers have a lot of fun with the scrolling text, and because there's so much more industrial facilities in this game, you get to see a lot more like neat things, like advertisements and like notices for the workers and stuff like that. They're still used for tutorials, and some might say it's kind of a bad way to show tutorials because you have to wait for the text to scroll. But I think, I mean, I don't know, I think it's just kind of funny. It's a neat way to go through the thing. I did not say the right thing again. There we go. I mean, one thing to appreciate about the 2D Oddworld games is the fact that there's not really any ever HUD for them. You know, everything is shown in the background, like everything you see, it's all integrated. And you don't see a lot of games do that, really. You know, even like platforming games, like that wasn't a common thing, especially back then. So to see an empty screen like this, you know, with just the gameplay showing, it was really neat. And really, they continued this on with Munch's Odyssey too, when they have the birds as health. Oh, that guy's going the wrong way. Hold on. But it really wasn't until Stranger's Wrath that a proper HUD ended up showing up, and then some of that immersion was gone. Okay, we're almost done saving these guys. Here you can see why I find the constant walking of them to be kind of annoying. I would wish they would move faster, but they cannot. I could have sped this up, but I did not, because I'm a poor judge of editing. Let's get these guys out of here then. They want to go home. That feels really good. It feels really good to save a lot of guys at once. You don't get that opportunity a lot in Odyssey, and just like, I don't know, there's just something about hearing like that rescue noise in 10 consecutive sounds that just makes you feel really good about yourself. That's it for Tunnel 5. This is the last kind of usual tunnel, because these next two tunnels, the last two, are going to be a bit different. A bit of a change of pace. I think I hear someone sleeping. Alright, so here we have the motion sensors. They are back in Abe's Exoddus. They weren't used a lot in Abe's Odyssey. I remember back when I did the Let's Play, some people actually forgot what motion sensors were when they came back because they were unused for such a long time. But they work the same way here. Basically, if you move while they're touching you, then an alarm will go off and all hell will break loose, so you don't want that to happen. You can tell when it's touching you from a sizzling sound that comes up. You can hear it briefly, but when you don't hear that sound, that means you're safe to walk. Motion sensors in this game get a lot more use through a lot more interesting ways, so get excited for that. I think that's exciting. I think they're, I don't know, cool, especially the way they're used. I talked over that sizzling sound there, but you could hear it very clearly at that moment. I could have jumped over this UXB, but whatever. At the end of this is a mine car, which is new to the Oddworld series. Now the mine car is it's a power trip. Easily one of the most effective tools of destroying everything in your path. It's invulnerable. Abe is invulnerable when he's in the mine car. And as long as it's on tracks, it can go anywhere it wants to. And if you're on the ceiling, you can drop and kill a dude. And that feels really good. If this wasn't a save all run, to be quite honest, I would probably be crushing anyone in my way, both Slig and Mudakin alike. And to be honest, it's a lot more fun that way. It's a lot of fun to just mindlessly stroll through everything and not really care what you're squashing. But that's not what this LP is about. We have to be responsible minecart users. And it's really fun to do. The minecart doesn't show up a lot. I think there's only like 2 times in the game where it shows up, and this is one of them, so it doesn't get a lot of use. But the moments it does get use, it's pretty nice. Okay, now you see there, the motion sensors are very sensitive. Any movement that Abe does will pull them off. So, and regular Mudokons too will also pull off motion sensors. Luckily, they're just like grinders that when they're off screen, that means they're not really there, present. But you know, the smallest things will set them off, like turning a mine off, or talking, chanting, sneaking, anything like that. I'm a bit more lenient here because the game, luckily if you are off screen, then most Sligs that are also off screen won't really care about what's going on. This part in particular is a bit scary if you don't know what you're doing. I already got through the hardest part of it, but if you were to just go through like this, there would be like 3 sleeping Sligs in your way and they would just kill everyone. Yeah, see, the blind Mudakin set the alarm off. Okay, let's get rid of everything on the way here. You can tell why that would be much more fun to just blast through all of this because, you know, it's a lot faster. I'm a very impatient person. There's 10 employees in this tunnel. I appreciate that there's actually a source for the lights to come out of. A lot of games just have a bright red bar coming out of nowhere, but they took the trouble of like putting something in the background that would logically put a light out. That's nice. Abe's Odyssey did that too. Attention for detail. We're almost done with the minecar section. Actually, I'm wrong. There's 3 instances where the minecar is used, and the second one is right after this tunnel. So they're both. Most of them are in necromines. Okay, now this part is a little difficult. So you see this guy, we have to lead him out to the minecar so we can crush him without killing anyone. But there's also a mine in the way. So we have to time this just right that we can turn off the mine and then run out before the Slig gets a chance to shoot anyone. Usually the Slig is preoccupied with beating one of the blind Mudokons, so that's good at least. It's not good that he's beating blind Mudokons, but it gives us more times. Just like in Odyssey, Sligs can't beat a blind Mudokon to death unless you're the one controlling the Slig, so you never have to worry about them overdoing it when they're AI controlled. Because that just adds a whole nother mix that is inappropriate. There we go. One thing that you really can't appreciate unless you've played the PC version of the game, for some reason, the secret room discovery noise in Abe's Exoddus on the PC is a much higher, much more shrill and ear-piercing sound than the one on the PlayStation version. The PlayStation version uses the same noise as Abe's Odyssey, but in Abe's Exoddus, every time you find a secret area, you basically have to mute your game if you don't want to destroy your ears. So, if anything, I'm glad of the PlayStation version for not destroying my brain. Uh-oh, this is Tunnel 7. The final tunnel before the final tunnel. And we have the last 4 Mudokons of Necromines to save in here. This whole bit is a lot of knowing what to do before you do it. I can't imagine a lot of people will do this right the first way before... They'll probably screw up the first time and won't be able to save anyone. So for example, the sleeping Slig in this room, he'll wake up eventually. And instead of running away from him, as people would probably do their first time, you actually have to possess him first. And he's kind of annoying, because he'll run out of the screen back and forth, and you might have to, takes a little bit longer to possess him, but you need to do it, or else you won't be able to kill the Slig in front here. And if you can't kill the Slig in front here, then you won't be able to save the last 4 Mudokons without at least killing one of them, you know. I just checked to make sure there were no more Sligs left. I was very paranoid. The rest of this little background area is a lot of running, just making a gun for it, you know, pulling the levers when they're in your way, and just not getting shot, knowing what's up ahead, really. I really like the sense of scale that these background areas give, because you can see a lot in the background. Necromines is a very big place, despite how short it is in the actual game. And this guy, this is actually I guess this is the first time the game expects you to actually possess the Slig, because as you can see, we have instructions to possess the Slig over here. Although I imagine a lot of players, their first time through the game, will have done it before this time. And of course, an introduction to shooting in the foreground. I like to choose this little corner in the back here, even though the screen to the left can do it just as easy. Oh, and we have to kill that guy too, I guess. Yeah, these... Oh, that guy walked through. I don't know how that happened. These guys aren't too bright. They don't really duck for cover or anything. But, you know, killing them effectively gets rid of all of the opposition we have in this tunnel. I guess we didn't have to kill them. We could have just crushed them in the minecart. But there's always the possibility of running into the Slig before getting into a minecart, and you don't want to risk that. Yeah, let's just blow up some mines. Why not? Here's the final 4 guys, the final 4 blind Mudokons, and we're not going to see blind Mudokons for a while now, if I remember right. So, you know, that's them for a while, and that's all the Mudokons and Necromines. All we have to do now is blow up the place and make sure the bones of the dead are no longer defiled. Defiled is a good word. It's not a word I use often, believe it or not. Alright, so we were in the boiler room before, and it had a bunch of slogs, and we couldn't really access the boilers. This time there are no slogs, but a flying Slig, and this flying Slig will be patrolling the entire area as we try to blow up the boiler room. You can't possess him. As you can see, there are these anti-possession orbs everywhere, and even if there weren't, he'd probably blow you up before you could do anything. And as you can see, he makes his rounds. You just kind of have to wait for him in the shadows and wait for him to pass by. It's not that hard, it's a little bit tense, but you can hear him coming like a couple of seconds before he's even on his screen, because his helicopter is so loud. So once he's passed, you can just make a break for it and run. One thing to notice is that we have to take down the boiler by pulling these 3 valves. And an important thing to note is that once the valve starts blinking, you can let go of it, and the rest of the bar will fill up by itself. I think most people would keep twisting the valve until the green keeps going more right, but no, as soon as the thing starts blinking, you can move on, and that makes this go on a lot faster. And that's it. That's it. All we have to do now is escape the place in time, and we do not have a lot of time to get out of here, and bumping into the ceiling is not going to help the cause. So once we get out of here, that'll be the end of this video. We'll be in Necrom proper. I'm Met. I'll see you next time. The place is about to blow up,